I was surprised to find out that no one really focused on the animals. It just kind of became a part of daily operating budget for organizations. The cost is exorbitant in a lot of cases that
Yeah.
it takes away from their time and their mission, which is to help veterans, right? To provide these programs to be able to offer them for free for veterans. Hypothetically, right? You're getting a dog because you have an issue that requires you to have the dog, and that issue a
Yeah.
lot of times leads to the veteran not being able to maybe work at their full capacity, work at all, and now they have this $20,000 dog that they become reliant on that could have saved their life, that it has a huge impact on the quality of their life. He broke down on the phone call with me, like, because he was like, I don't know, I'm going to max out my personal credit card because I have no money left in the organization at the moment because of this $3,000 expense yesterday. And we were able to just call ahead to the place and pay the bill. There's a guy in Alabama. He he started a program down there because, like, horses saved his life. He was a veteran that suffered through some terrible PTSD, and when he got out of the military, and he was finding his way, and he got to the point of kind of the end of his rope, and um, he had this special interaction with a horse that literally saved his life.
There are healers on this planet with the power to soften the suffering of mankind, yet they have remained in the recesses of the world, abused, discarded, and labeled as trash. This is The Touch of a Mustang. I am your host, Shalise Clough, and I'm here to tell the story of wild horses, Mustangs, and the humans who are discovering and sharing their gifts while working to protect their well-being and preserve their spirit, so this divine power won't be lost. Join us on this quest with the Wild Mustang.
My name's Dave Vieira. I'm an Army Afghanistan veteran, um, and I'm the founder and president of Veterans K9Equine Alliance. So prior to starting this organization, I had the privilege of leading an organization that built the first monument in the state of Connecticut for Afghanistan and Iraq veterans. The Afghanistan and Iraq Veterans War Memorial. It's in Danbury, Connecticut. And after that project was complete, I was trying to kind of figure out what I could do next. I wanted to continue giving back. I think a lot of veterans, including myself, obviously, that once we get out, we kind of try to redirect our focus into a new mission. And that's definitely been something that's helpful for me. So when I started looking at how I could continue to give back, I knew a little bit about the service dog world because I knew veterans that had service dogs, and I had a little experience on the equine side. I had gone to a session just to kind of see what it was all about, and started looking into who was supporting those types of organizations and who was specifically focusing on helping the animals. So I was surprised to find out that no one really focused on the animals. It just kind of became a part of daily operating budget for organizations, and they spent so much time fundraising, focusing on that because, especially on the equine side, the cost is exorbitant in a lot of cases that
Yeah.
it takes away from their time and their mission, which is to help veterans, right? To provide these programs to be able to offer them for free for veterans. So I decided to create this Veterans K9 Equine Alliance, and our sole focus is just on covering those expenses associated directly with the animals. So whether it's buying hay or feed or paying for the farrier costs or veterinarian bills or whatever expenses they have that are associated with the animals. We've even done helping buy a shelter and putting up new fencing to help them expand their areas where they can hold sessions, things like that. I got new dirt for an arena, and so anything that's just directly related to the animals themselves, and to alleviate that expense for them, so they can just now focus on a little bit more on helping veterans and on their program specifically. So and it's been great. I'm coming on 2 years doing this, and it's just it's growing fast. And as I kind of expected it would. I mean, I'm an organization, right, that's reaching out to these organizations that are doing this work all across the country, and I'm like, hey, how can I give you money by helping take care of your horses and your dogs? So everyone, for the most part, is in a position where they could use that help. So
Yeah.
my whole goal daily, weekly is, relying on an amazing team of volunteers that we have here, is just trying to come up with fundraising ideas, have events, be at every local community event where I can set up a table and sell a shirt and tell our story kind of thing. Just so that we're always in a place that, maybe I can't buy $10,000 worth of hay for somebody, but if they ask and they're in need, I can contribute somehow to what they need. So, it's kind of what I lose a little bit of sleep about sometimes, just always trying to be in a place where I'm never going to have to say no to somebody. We have over 50 partners now in 28 states. So,
Wow.
like I said, we're just kind of growing exponentially. And, hopefully some organizations will see this interview and find us and kind of see, we'll learn what we're about and we'll gain some new partners. So, but I love the mission. It's definitely like a passion project. I did a tour across the southern part of the country last year. Yeah, last year, and so I visited partners from Nevada all the way across the south, and in Kentucky, and kind of to see. I tell everybody when I partner with them that because everything's always email, phone. Sometimes we'll do Teams call or Zoom call, whatever. But uh, I, you know, I take everyone's word for it, but I'm gonna come see you one day. So
Yeah.
that was kind of part of that promise last year was going to see. So I visited 12 organizations last year, and this year I have a plan to do the northern route. So we'll go across the northern part of the country and visit our partners across the north. But anyway, to see firsthand the impact that we've had was pretty special, and to meet the leaders of these organizations in person, get to shake their hand and see the animals, live and in action, working with the veterans. Some of them were just in sessions with veterans. Some of them were, we just went to on an off day to their farm and met their animals. So it was really cool to see firsthand how, they showed us, here's the hay you guys bought us. And, here's the horse
Yeah.
that you paid the vet bill. They were sick and now they're better. And, so it was really cool to see that firsthand and, definitely drives my mission personally. And I know it does the entire organization, just kind of seeing that direct help that we're providing. And, you know, being that we're small and volunteer run, it keeps us real nimble. So, I never wanted to, and I said this to everybody that joined this organization to start. I don't care if we become like $100 million organization. I never want to have like this overcomplicated process to request help because anytime I asked for money when I was doing the Mind project or even through this effort and I'm trying to get grants or donations, stuff like that, so many corporations, and I guess, obviously there's a reason for it to a certain extent, to have a very in-depth, lengthy process of applying for help. And I
Yeah.
think that definitely negatively affects, especially some of the newer, a newer organization doesn't have 10 years of tax returns to start out with. But those are
Hmm.
the ones I think really need the help. So, being the small volunteer organization, we're able to stay super nimble in that we can, respond to an email on a weekend where a guy's, he's got 5 horses and he runs a weekend program and he's really struggling. He's paying out of his own pocket, working a second job to keep their animals healthy. And they woke up this
Yeah.
morning and the horses got a cut on the side. They don't know how. Now that the vet's got to come out and here's $800 visit. And,
Hmm.
so being able to respond to those things is how I want this to operate forever. So hopefully we'll be in a place where we can provide bigger amounts of support, but I always want to be that guy that you can kind of call in the middle of the night and be like, "Hey, this is what's going on and we need help," and we can be there for them. So, it kind of all ties into the overall mission. But just something that's unique to what we do and how we operate so that we can be there for the little guys and the big guys and be be someone that you can rely on. So, Um, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the overall mission. We've been, on the K9 side, it's been fewer organizations that we've had an opportunity to partner with so far. I think
Interesting.
I found partially is because a lot of them have been around for a really long time. And I think the K9 world gets a lot more attention than the equine side does, being that equine therapy is more of a newer type of therapy that's been recognized like more officially in recent years than the K9 side. So a lot of them have like big corporate sponsors and they don't need this little kind of stuff that I do. But we have a few partners that we've been fortunate to connect with that we've paid, dogs that are coming into the program to get trained, we're covering all their vet bills, like their, neutering, spading, all their food while they're going through training, that kind of stuff is kind of where we've been at on the canine side. But we look forward to growing that side too. So if we, any partners in the canine world that are working with veterans hear this and find us, we're gonna have the conversation, see how we can support their mission as well. Um, but yeah, I mean, I love doing it. It's like my second full time job that I don't get paid for.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I get paid in the I don't know the feel good part of it. That we're having a real impact and some of the organizations that we've partnered with are veteran run. combat vets, Afghanistan and Iraq vets, and so it was really cool to connect with them and really be able to we kind of speak the same language, and it's exciting to see them taking that initiative and putting their time and sweat equity into using. A lot of them have farms they grew up on or family farms, and they just expanded to this new mission, and um, they're having a great impact on their local veteran community. And I think it's a lot easier for us to connect in our own little community when it comes to therapy stuff. So they're having a real impact on the people in their community and getting these guys out to try it out, even at least, whereas I don't think they might have done that otherwise. So I hope that helping us create a larger alliance of these organizations will encourage other veterans who may be in a position to do something or start a program like that to also do that, knowing that that they have us in their corner and other veterans that are out there and sharing their success stories and in helping the veteran community. So yeah, I mean, that's a really long answer to your question, but
Yeah, no,
yeah, I
that's
mean,
great.
that's kind of what we're all about.
Yeah. So, how is this kind of the thing that you chose to put so much time and energy into? Especially, it's not, I would imagine, very exciting to be like, here's a check for the vet bill that you just had on the back end, and it's very behind the scenes. No one sees it. But what was your motivation for choosing this, and what has it meant to you in your life to be able to contribute in this way?
Well, I guess I'm an animal person, right? So I have two dogs and a cat, and I've always grown up with pets, and I think just seeing like the impact that it's having on the veteran community, just hearing the stories. Like I said earlier, I know veterans who have service dogs, and um, I know a lot of them have struggled with the care, and that's another thing I learned about the service dog world when I was starting this organization. And a lot of organizations or programs will provide a service dog to a veteran, but then it's on the veteran to take care of that animal for the rest of the animal's life, right? And it kind of blew my mind in that they provide no like help in food or vet bills for the dog, because I mean hypothetically, right? You're getting a dog because you have an issue that requires you to have the dog, and that issue a
Yeah.
lot of times leads to the veteran not being able to maybe work at their full capacity, work at all, and now they have this $20,000 dog that they become reliant on that could have saved their life, that it has a huge impact on the quality of their life. So you have this relationship that they don't want to let this dog down, and God forbid something happens, they may not have the financial means to now pay for this emergency vet bill or buy this special $250 a month dog food that they have to get now because the dog has some issue that they didn't know about, and there's nobody there to help them out. So, that was something that drove me to do it, working on the canine side. But um, yeah, I mean, yeah, we are behind the scenes, but we know the impact that we have. And sharing the story with the world through social media and our website, and these conversations with with folks like yourself, and that's kind of all the recognition that we need. We know the good that we're doing, and like I said earlier, it's kind of that feel good. You get paid through the thank yous and the seeing the stories, and you're talking to the veteran and talking to the farm owner, and talking to the people that are doing the work, and that those thank yous is the recognition that we need. That's what it's all about. And we know that this has such a compounding impact on the veteran community. If our goal is to get partners in every state, and we have 200, 300 partners, I mean, even if our hay purchase helped them maybe treat one more veteran, you times that by 100. Now you're talking about you helped 100 veterans go through a program that they might not have been able to go through because that organization might not have had the money free to provide that service for free. So there's lots of little ways I think like that are kind of behind the scenes that maybe people will never know about, but we know, and that's what drives us to keep moving forward.
Yeah, and it is so valuable because when you have those unexpected expenses, it can almost be enough to break you when you're already doing all this hard work. And then it's like one more thing on top of it. So I imagine that is so valuable for the organizations to know, like, if I need to, I can give David a call and he'll probably be able to help us out.
Yeah, it's been, and like I said, I had a newer partner recently that called me like on the way to pick up hay, where he was going to like max out his credit card because he had to pay for um, horse head, some infection that he had to like ate up his whole budget at the vet. So we
Yeah.
were going to pick up this hay order, and he's like, I mean, it's not like earth shattering money. He's like, it's going to be $800 for this week bi-weekly hay order or whatever. But like, he broke down on the phone call with me, like, because he was like, I don't know, I'm going to max out my personal credit card because I have no money left in the organization at the moment because of this $3,000 expense yesterday. And we were able to just call ahead to the place and pay the bill. So when he got there, he picked up.
Man.
So like
Yeah,
those are
that's
the kind of
awesome.
stories, those are the kind of things that happen um, that, that are like inspiring to me. Like, this guy's out there, you know, spending all his personal money to make sure these horses are taken care of, to run this program that no one is making him do. And so, and no one's out there to, no one's available for him to reach out to until he found us. And now, now we're that person for them, and he'll be able to have he'll be able to have his sessions like planned, and it's just going to be able to allow him to continue his mission, like you said, and not one day wake up and be like, I can't do this anymore. I'm just done. I have to shut this thing down. And whether,
Yeah.
whether that affects 30 veterans in a program or one, that's too many. There's so many people are in need of help that maybe you don't even really know it yet. And to not have those available to them, is not acceptable. So
Yeah, and I think something a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of people are financing these programs out of their own pocket a lot of the time. They sometimes get donors, but when it comes down to it to keep it running, they might be working other jobs. Like I know several people who are running veteran programs and they also work another job. It's not like this is their full-time job. So yeah, to just be able to have some support is incredible. And I don't know if a lot of people realize that, where are these being financed? Because they are incredible programs, but they are, like you say, very costly and can become very costly very quickly, even if you have a budget planned out when you have something unexpected like that.
absolutely. And I mean, there are a few that have been established for a while that have gotten into the grant world, and they get their annual grant for here or there. But even those organizations, I mean, as they grow, right, their operating budget grows and their operating expenses grow. So maybe they do get, I have an organization that gets, $500,000 a year from a grant, but their expenses are $50,000 a month because they have, 30 horse, 50
Yeah.
acres, and they run, six consecutive programs. So, so those organizations even still run into sometimes like, oh shit, like how am I gonna pay for this? Maybe their hay orders and $800, maybe the hay orders $4,000, but like they run into
Yeah.
those walls too, where they had this budget and horse got injured or got sick or whatever, and it didn't wasn't what they budgeted for that year, and so we've come to the so to speak rescue in some of those situations too for the bigger organizations, but yeah, I mean, I hope that, our overall mission in creating this alliance of organizations is to, one, help them connect with each other, right? So there are a lot of organizations that have been doing it for a really long time, and they have a lot of experience from just trial and error, right? Or they've learned this approach, and you've learned that approach, and I've learned this approach. And then you got new organizations that are coming out there, and they're just figuring this stuff out, and they're trying this approach and that approach. But you know, it's just it's crazy to me that, wouldn't you want all that information kind of centrally located so that the new guy isn't trying something that these other guys did 50 times already and realized didn't work? It's like, save them that
Mm,
time and effort and money.
yeah.
So in creating this alliance, not only bringing awareness to these types of programs, but also hopefully connecting them in a way that they can support one another. I think there's like the stigma in the nonprofit world, and I see it myself, when I was doing the Miner project and this project, everyone's always fighting for the same money, so to speak, right? Everyone's like looking for that
Yeah.
same donor, and there's only so many donors out there. But, overall, it's the greater good in the mission overall, in helping veterans. And I think there's a way to work together and still everyone gets what they need. There's enough money out there
Yeah.
for that to work. So, I'm talking, down the road in our plan as an organization, but it's something that we make decisions in with that in mind, as far as wanting to connect these organizations and kind of the bigger overall picture of how we can all work together and creating a support system for new and existing organizations so that they just can be here forever and be available forever for veterans who want to experience that type of healing. So
Yeah, I think that's incredible because a lot of times there is some infighting about that because people feel threatened. That's definitely something that happens in the Mustang world too, where, people think they should be wild or whatever, and forget that the Mustangs that are going to programs like these, those are some of the horses that are going to be safe and cared for and in one of the best situations that wild horses who have been gathered can be in. Tell me about some of the most impactful stories that you've heard of how the programs you work with have helped other people.
Um, let's see. So there's a guy in Alabama. He he started a program down there because like horses saved his life. He was a veteran that suffered through some terrible PTSD, and when he got out of the military, and he was finding his way, and he got to the point of kind of the end of his rope, and um, he had this special interaction with a horse that literally saved his life, and he found it as like he's a very religious person, and he found it as this call from God to kind of refocus his life and to bring this type of connection to other veterans. And he's just been exponentially growing his mission down there and getting so many veterans involved that didn't know anything about it, and he's having huge success with it. And so that story like that is kind of what this is all about for me. Like those are like the real, it got me like, it gets you in the feels when he first told me that. And I was down there on his farm and he was telling me the story of how he started this mission. And um so that story definitely stands out to me as one that was impactful and kind of inspires me to keep helping people like him follow this new calling in life as a veteran and after the military. um I don't know. I mean, overall, there's so many good stories. Like every person I talked to when I did this tour, I mean, there's a newer organization in Texas that I have that it's all veteran run, veteran volunteers. They're all I mentioned earlier about the Afghanistan and Iraq veterans, and um, they all in their own way had this a similar story where they kind of were lost when they came home, and um, they just tried it out at a farm kind of thing, and it just like completely like they're 180 in their life and new focus, new mission, and they're like just on such a great path now, like just doing great things for the community, feeling better, like it's improved their home life, improved their work life. So yeah, it's just I don't know. There hasn't been like a bad story. I could probably tell you a story from every partner that we have that's just been so awesome to hear. Like and like I mentioned earlier, it's like something I have this in-depth personal experience with horses where I could
Yeah.
say I've been there, done that. I know what you mean. So hearing it from them firsthand and them all these amazing stories, it's kind of that little bit that I got from the session that I tried. Just like wow, it's like it's way bigger and better than I ever thought it could be. And here's the proof in that. Talking to these guys that don't know me from a hole in the wall, I don't know them, but they all have these super personal, intimate stories that where they really had life changing moments with horses, and like I said, I keep saying it, but it's just something that drives me as a human being and in our mission as Veterans K9 Equine Alliance. So
Yeah. One thing you mentioned is how it almost creates a sense of community for veterans. How important do you think that is in part of it, being
that's
part of that?
a huge part of it. Yeah, I mean, I experienced that myself when I got out. You lose that like keep that sense of community that you become like brothers and sisters with is like literally gone overnight. You sign your paperwork and the next morning it's just gone. So that's definitely a thing that most veterans struggle with or have a hard time with when they get out. So yeah, these and that's kind of I think one of the concepts of uh, the organization in Texas that I mentioned, that why they've had a lot of success with bringing veterans into their mission is their approach is like as least formal as it could possibly be. It's more about that community, the brotherhood, and just being around the horses. You want to ride the horse, ride the horse. You want to just brush the horse, brush. You want to come muck the saws and put hay out, like that's what you can do. It's just more about the community aspect of it. And in that community and in that time they spend together, they find paths to healing and connect with horses and each other. And I think have the same, if not better in some cases, outcome to more formal programs where they're out there with a psychiatrist or a therapist with the horse and they're doing,
Yeah.
I think there's value in all approaches. And that's something I've learned through this mission and seeing the different ways that organizations are working with veterans and horses and how they all work and find ways to help one another. But Yeah, the community aspect is definitely a huge part of it. It's super important, and I think that when a veteran finds that community after their time in the service, um, it's like definitely, if not the first step, it's a step to finding that new path as a civilian because it's something it's something that has just a huge negative impact when you lose it, and being able to find it out here is super special. So hopefully these organizations understand that across the country that are doing this work and make that a focus in how they make how they approach this type of work with veterans, because I think they'll all have much greater success with the veteran community if they find that and implement that in how they help people.
Yeah. From the stories you've seen and heard, what are some of the differences that take place with either the canines or the horses that is different from a lot of the traditional mental health practices that are pushed a little heavier, less available? How are these programs different that seem to be able to help veterans and some veterans who maybe those traditional methods didn't work so well with?
Well, I mean, from my personal experience and people that I served with and I know and that I've met along the way, there's a stigma, and there's a stigma because it exists, right? So the VA's approach to mental health has been, and as far as I know, unless something's changed and no one's told me, a lot of it's been just medicine focused, right? We
Mm.
identify a problem in one session, and here's two different medicines that are supposed to fix that. And unfortunately, most of the time, it doesn't work, and then you end up
And a
back
lot of
there.
times come with side effects.
Yeah, most of them do. Yeah, that affect negatively other aspects of your life that weren't maybe affected by the original problem. So it kind of just
Yeah.
compounds the problem. Um, and then so you try it, doesn't work, and you go back, and it's just like the cyclical shit show. And on top of all that, the turnover rate is so terrible at the VA that you're asked to tell a story that's maybe like the most terrible story that you've ever told somebody. And then you go back to the next time and you're telling it to a brand new person because the
Oh man.
therapist has changed or the psychiatrist has changed. So I think any veteran that's had that experience, it becomes just an instant deterrent to ever even try that again. So they continue in this bad cycle of just not being right, not feeling well, and it affects work and life at home and everything else. Um, and then I don't know, I just feel like that story becomes like the reality for veterans, right? So even if you are somebody who maybe you'd fall in the 5% of people where that medicine might have worked or that type of therapy might have worked, the veteran community understands it as one way, and we don't. And we're like, we're not. I'm not doing that. Like, you know, Joe and Bill and John, they all went through that, and nothing worked. Now they have all these other issues, and they've had to go through this trauma like 6 times, telling the same story to 6 different people, and I'm not even going to try it. So like now they're stuck in this like terrible place with no outlet, no way to help. So having this alternative way where they can find the community, like you mentioned, and then being around horses and or service dog programs, or and if they receive a service dog, just being able to kind of heal in in their own space, in in like a safe environment where I think that you can kind of work at your own pace. Like you can heal at your own pace. You're on the farm, like you could be as involved and as connected with the program or the horse as you want to be today, or maybe tomorrow, or maybe 3 weeks from now. It maybe takes you 6 months to get to the point where you're like comfortable enough to have that conversation, whether it's with a veteran or therapist or whatever, or be with that animal who maybe you were uncomfortable in a situation because you're alone and you don't have that community, you don't have that sense of security. And now you have this animal that's you can rely on, that's going to be with you by your side, maybe starts to give you a sense of comfort that you were missing, that helps you expand your world and get back out into the community and reconnect with people in ways that you've lost since you've been out and weren't feeling right. So, I think there's so much value in that human animal connection. And when they're in these different types of programs, that traditional therapy and medicine just doesn't work for a lot of people, especially for people who just aren't willing to try it because they've heard all the terrible stories and it's not worth the risk. It's like, why would I want to risk compounding what I'm already experiencing, which is
Yeah.
terrible? And then they end up getting stuck and suffering through it for years. And that's even worse, right? So hopefully this alliance and the expansion of the equine therapy world and the programs that exist and the publicity it's getting now. And then, encouraging people in all different parts of the country to try it if they have the ability, if they have horses, they have land, they have the money to do it, to start these
Mm,
kinds of projects so that they're available for veterans in the community. Because a lot of these organizations are super rural because that's where the farmland is and that's where they have the horses are. So a lot of veterans are kind of cut out of it or don't learn about it because it's 50 miles away at a farm. So hopefully this the notoriety of it and the publicity and these conversations we have will encourage people to get into it in more areas across the country to make it more available so that more veterans can try it, because I really believe that it'll have just an overall positive impact on the veteran community and maybe help get away from some of that traditional medicine pills for everything concept that we've kind of been so used to.
yeah. I mean, absolutely. I think that is always the go-to. Go talk to a therapist, call a therapist,
Mhm.
or go see your doctor, get some medication. And like we really aren't seeing results that you would think we should see with as hard as it's being pushed. Um, how impactful do you think it is for a veteran to go into one of these programs that is then run by other veterans who have probably had not the same experience, but similar experiences versus, like you say, going into the VA where you're just talking to some person trained through universities that has not had that same experience, has maybe never been in a situation where it is a life and death experience or upfront trauma, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge difference. Being able to connect with somebody who understands you, and that you're not worried about how they're going to react to it because they've kind of been there, done that. That definitely makes it much easier to have the conversation. And if you're ever going to have the conversation, that's going to be probably the person you'd have it with. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a problem in the formal traditional therapy sense. There are some therapists that I think make the effort to better understand the veteran community, and I think they have much more success. I know people personally in the therapeutic world that do that and have a lot of success with veterans, but that's the by far the minority of the population in that field. And it's like it's hard enough to connect with the civilian world as a veteran, right? And then to have to share stories that 100% they're not going to understand, or they're going to understand it in a way that it's not really the way it happened. It's not really the way it impacted you because book said that that's what it's supposed to have done to me. It just makes it harder to find common ground and to trust the person, really, right? You have to be able to trust the people that you want to share those stories with, who may be able to help you, and to take advice from somebody, you need to be able to trust them that the advice they're giving is from a place of understanding and experience. And I just don't think you have that in a lot of cases in the traditional world. And the other side of it is a lot of veterans unfortunately don't have private insurance access, right? And
Mm,
therapy is expensive. So
yeah.
who the hell's got $250 a week out of their own pocket or $150 a week to go pay somebody cash? And even if you have a insurance program, maybe you don't have the right therapist who would understand, or maybe a therapist that's close enough by that you can get to on a weekly basis or whatever. So, there are a lot of, you know, roadblocks on the way to getting it, even if you want to go the traditional route for a lot of veterans who just don't have those, that kind of coverage or financial ability, to be able to get in. So to find these other programs, non-traditional through equine and canine services who are typically, and my goal is to hopefully help them all be free, for veterans to attend. It's like, what is stopping you now, right? Like, because as a veteran to another veteran, I would call them out on it. Like, why would you go to that? Like, oh, you can't.
Mm,
It's close enough, or I'll drive you. Like, it's
hmm.
free. You don't need insurance for
Yeah.
the thing. It's gonna take you an hour. You're not talking to anybody that doesn't understand you. So to remove those roadblocks in the conversation from a veteran is helpful in getting them to find a way to have that conversation that they might need to have. So yeah, I mean, I think I answered your question, right?
Yeah.
Tangent.
Yeah. And it is pretty amazing that a lot of these programs really are working to have these services for free because they're not cheap. But
Right.
the idea to be able to like go to this program, it's free. So just try it out versus you're going to pay this much for therapy. You don't have insurance. You don't know if you're even going to like the therapist.
Right.
And if you don't, then you're going to have to find another one and go back. And so I think it does really remove a lot of the barriers that are like, I mean, just give it a try. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't.
Yeah.
But maybe it will. You've talked a little bit about the compounding effect and how a lot of these veterans, which I've also seen go through a program and then they go on and create a program themselves because it's been so meaningful to them, have you seen that compounding effect also go into families? Because for every veteran that is struggling, like there is often a wife and children and mothers and fathers, a whole family surrounding that person that's going to be part of that experience.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely. I think that from a few like people that I know that have gone through it in the story I was telling them earlier about a couple of guys. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously it's had a huge positive impact on their home life, and their spouses have been super supportive of it. I think that they're so shocked by the positive impact it's had in their veteran's life and how that's now translated into the home life being better, that they they become a part of the new mission. They become supports us. Some of them work and volunteer and help take care of the horses and cook at these events, and become a part of the mission. And that only strengthens, obviously, the family bond, and then they're bringing their kids to these events. And that's something I've seen a lot on the veteran run programs, is the focus on the family. Having these, like, so they have their, I hate to call them like sessions, because not really sessions. Like I said, they're more like loosely gatherings, around the horses and stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But they have dedicated time for veterans that are going to be there and participate and do what they do. But they all focus and create time, whether it's weekly, monthly, quarterly, where it's family. They want, like, everyone. If you're coming to these programs, like, you're bringing your family to this event. Like, we want everyone to interact, to meet each other, and then the families start to share their stories, right? What they experience with their veteran. Because, like you said, and we talk about it a lot as veterans, is like, the family serves when a veteran serves, right? When I went away, my family was impacted by that, right? And so is
Yeah.
every other veteran, like, whether it be, like you said, their parents, whether it be their spouse, their children, whatever it is. So, I think that they have a lot to process and deal with. And then having, us come back and have other issues that they didn't sign up for when they got married, or when it first went away. Um, it's kind of like, hey, what about me? And that's I understand that. So I think that, having that these programs focus on, or at least pay attention to that fact, only strengthens their program. It only ensures that those veterans continue to come to these programs. Because if you have your family at home supporting you, it's like I said, back to the roadblocks, right? I'm not going to have the excuse anymore that, oh, my wife doesn't want me to go to these anymore. Or, I got to do this with the kids, or whatever. If this house is
Yeah.
supporting them, they're just going to be more involved and continue down that journey and on the right path to, obviously, what's having a positive impact if their family's supporting that. So, yeah, I mean, it's important for the families to be involved in it. It's important for the families to support the veterans through that. And I think only everyone benefits from it. And I think that it's important for the programs to understand that, and to bring families as a whole into the mix when they can, whether it be occasionally or whatever, just so that they can see firsthand what their veterans are doing when they're there and away from home for these things. And, um, and can have some sense of, I think, involvement in it. Like, it's kind of, the more that you're hands on something, the more you're committed to it, the more you're willing to continue to do it. Right.
Yeah. And really another piece that, like, you don't usually bring your family to therapy with you. I mean, maybe sometimes,
And maybe, like,
but a lot of times, like, you're probably not going to want to share with your kids some of the horrible things you saw, or
right,
the,
right,
terrible feelings or thoughts you've had.
right.
Um, so yeah, what a beautiful thing that it's like a place where you can go as a whole family. And yeah, really awesome that the programs are recognizing, like, this is something that can help the entire family. Um, and like the stories you've heard and just your experiences, how much does hope and hopelessness play a role in the veteran crisis? And how, if you've seen that, do these programs step in to maybe renew some hope?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of a part, whether to a different extent and maybe for everybody, right? But I think that's a part of where a lot of veterans end up, because of all the things that they've experienced, the struggles and the disconnection from that family that they left behind in the military, from trying to reconnect to a civilian world that feels different, that doesn't understand you, the new you, um, and not having access to the tools that you need to get back on track, right? Whether it be, like we talked about, therapy, medicine, whatever it might be, right? Or access to a farm, or canine program, whatever. So I think the end result of all that that natural progression is to hopelessness, right? If you're just a normal human being, I think we all would end up there.
Yeah.
So finding these programs and connecting these programs is, I mean, a huge off switch to that. I think, it's a complete turnaround. And I think, and talking to veterans that have gone through it and um, hearing their stories, it's like, it's clear, and without saying it, it's clear that they no longer feel that way. Like, it's redirected their attention, and it's refocused them, and it's provided them an outlet that they can see, like, well, there is a future beyond how I'm feeling at the moment. Because every time I go to this, every time I participate in these things, I feel a little bit better. Whereas like before, it never changed. It just always felt like shit. So to have this day with a horse, or being around these dogs, even if they feel like a tiny bit better, I think they start to understand. We all start to understand that it's not hopeless. Maybe, like, let me give this another shot. So all tying in with making these programs available to everyone, so that everyone can kind of experience that and see that, just start it. Like, just give it a chance. One of the places, their motto is, when they try to get veterans to come out, just give us 20 minutes. Like, that's their whole thing. They don't sell it. They don't talk about the programs. They don't talk about anything. Just, we have a farm. Here's some pictures of our horses. Give us 20 minutes. And like, I would say 99% of the time, they're like kicking the people out, because like their experience is so great. Like, they never want to leave.
Yeah.
I love it. It's kind of like, it just kind of, I think, goes to the point of what I'm trying to say, is just like, if you just get started, give it a try, um, that hopelessness feeling you just can't, it's like hard to feel that way when you're around those animals, like when you're in that environment when you're reconnecting with those people who understand you and are willing to give you some of their time and their that peace, right? So, um, yeah, it's a huge part of what veterans suffer through, and I think that these programs are vital to redirecting that and correcting that.
Yeah. And I think sometimes that first step can be the hardest step to take. And how different if it's like, just give us 20 minutes to like come hang out with an animal that's not going to bug you about what happened during your time at war, versus, okay, let's go into a therapist. Let's rehash all the worst things that have happened to you and all the symptoms and side effects that you're having beside of it. I mean, totally different experience. And especially if you're in a low place, to just be like, okay, well, I can go sit with an animal for 20 minutes
Right.
versus I don't want to go back there. Like, I don't want to be there anymore. That's part of why I'm so tortured right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. And
So,
just allowing it to not kind of happen naturally. And then obviously, I think the outdoors is a huge factor, right? Can't be ignored. The
yeah.
fact that you're in a field, you're outside, you're at a park, whatever, like, all these types of therapy are done, or support are done outside. So like, you
Mhm.
never, like, I hated the feeling of being in the office, like in an office with an unfamiliar place, with an unfamiliar person asking shitty questions. And like, it just, the whole environment is different. And I think you have such a higher chance of success with these other programs being outside, because we don't like to be trapped. We don't like to be in unknown environments. We don't like to be
Yeah.
in a room we don't know, with a person we don't know. So I think, that's a huge factor that has led to a lot of success in those programs. Is just simple fact of being outside.
Yeah.
And you said, give me 20 minutes, right? So they don't, like you said, they're not coming there to share, to pour their heart out, to tell their deep, dark secrets. They're not going into an office that they don't know. They're not going to talk to somebody that they know doesn't know anything about them or what they've experienced. And they're just going to hang out with this horse or this dog, and they're going to be outside in a field in beautiful nature. So there's just so many aspects of it that are impactful, that, lead to successful outcomes and get people really involved in it, and redirect that bad energy and that hopelessness and those negative feelings to, a better place, on a better path.
Yeah. How beneficial have you seen, just in the stories you've heard or your personal experience, is it to have that mission? Because from what I've heard, I don't know much. I never served or anything, but you guys do have a really strong, clear mission when you're in the armed services, and then you come home, and like you said, it's like you sign a paper and then they throw you back into this world that's totally different from when you left.
Yeah, it's a huge part of it. I mean, we joke about it, but like, even the simple mission of like So you have the overall mission of the military, right? Is to, protect the United States, protect the citizens, to be a good, positive force in the world, and that's kind of why we all joined. Right? I joined after 9/11. I wanted to give back and go fight for our country and right the wrongs done to us. And but even through the mundaneness of being in the military, it's not like all the movies where you're in combat and there's all these crazy things happening all the time.
24/7. Yeah.
Right. That's the tiniest part of all of it. But even the mission of, you know, being here at a certain time, doing this certain thing, whether it's making your bed the right way, folding your clothes the right way, marching the right way, wearing uniform the right, those are all missions, right? So you're always your brain is always focused on a task that can be accomplished. And that they train you to do, right? Or you learn through experience. When you come home, like you don't have any of those expectations, right? You have the
Yeah. Nobody
overarching
cares if you make your bed or not.
right, you have the overarching expectation of being like a good person and not committing a crime and paying your bills, right? But outside of that, like it's just there's a lot of time where there's nothing to do essentially, right? Unless you choose to do something. But no one's guiding you, no one's keeping you on the rails to so that you're focused on something. So I think it allows for a lot of those things to come up that maybe you didn't have time to think of before, right? So that leads us to
Yeah.
all those things, those down some bad roads sometimes.
Yeah.
So um when I came home and I connected with veterans who had just gotten out around the same time, who had gone to Iraq and Afghanistan. And when I came home, I didn't have that community. And as soon as I found it, it was like I locked right onto it, right? And it became it like kind of helps you reconnect to the rest of the world because like you have this anchor of familiarity, and they're going through the same things you've gone through and that you're experiencing now being home. So you have that person to rely on and talk to and understands you, and you can complain about the same things and the same help maybe understand the troubleshooting some of the civilian aspects that you maybe forgot about or are different now from when you first went in to when you got out. So provide I was lucky that there's a VFW in my community that I had driven by a million times that I always thought was just Vietnam veterans that went to it. And when I first went there, that's pretty much what it was. But there was one other veteran that was happened to be stopping there at the same time as me, and they kind of put us together like, oh, here's another. There's the old guys were like, hey, here's another Afghanistan Iraq vet. Talk to him. So we started talking, and then we ended up joining, and then we ended up growing the post, and it's now one of the biggest post 9/11 veteran posts in the state. So
Wow.
like because we understood that, and to your point of your question, we understood that everyone like us is looking for that. Like we're all out there kind of floating around alone, missing that
Yeah.
connection, that community. So like all we had to do is tell everybody that we're here. Like, hey, there's a place that exists where we're at that you can come be a part of and reconnect in the way that we all know you're missing because we were missing it too. So these programs, these equine programs and canine programs are another avenue, like a VFW or an American Legion or any of these other veteran programs that provide that sense of community and connection and safe space, so to speak, 2026 speak. But it's it's super important. It's vital, I think, to everyone's kind of road to the new normal that is post service time, civilian time. And I think it only enhances your life overall, right? Because you're giving you're found the community. These organizations give back to the veteran community and the community that they operate in. So I think a lot of us, I can't speak for all of us, but I think the majority of us have that drive to give back, to connect with the community and to give back and to help people. And right, the overall
Yeah.
arching mission of the military is to help people and to be a good force in the community and the world. So, like on a smaller scale, you're now given the opportunity, well, even if it's just volunteering once in a blue moon, or if you want to go every day, you can give back. You can go to the school and volunteer there. You can go to the ceremony and you can make sure that the other veterans from other wars are honored by going to a ceremony, or you can do a food drive, or what I'm saying. Opens up the opportunity. Whereas me by myself out there doing my 9 to 5 never would have done that on my own. So
Yeah.
there's so many different aspects of it that kind of reconnect you to that community that you've lost and provide other opportunities to connect in new ways that only have, I think, a positive impact on the veteran community. And I find they're super important. And unfortunately, a lot of those institutional organizations like the VFW and Legion are kind of falling by the wayside. A lot of them haven't been able to change with the times that new, younger generation veterans are looking for. So they're closing because they're not getting the membership. So I hope that they don't go disappear completely because I think there's a lot of value there. But I
Yeah.
hope that our mission will help redirect veterans to other ways that they can connect in that familiar way, like these
Yeah.
programs and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty shocking that the government doesn't have a way to funnel all these people into programs like this because it does seem such a huge part of the struggle that veterans face when they come home. So
Maybe one day they will,
sad
right?
that, yeah, hopefully. Yeah, I would love that.
We'll
And,
talk about it
use
enough.
all the Mustangs you have in holding and use them for these guys that have done so much for our country and girls. And yeah,
And the
that
Mustangs
would be
are.
great.
I just got into that recently, where a couple of organizations have started taking in Mustangs,
Yeah.
and super challenging, but super
Yeah.
unique. Super unique in the way that. So my experience with these partners, a lot of the veterans will find the horse that kind of is their horse, right? Like every time they go, they like this horse. They go see Johnny, Ike, whatever, they find that's kind of their horse, and that's what they connect with, and the horse connects with them, right? But on the Mustang side, it's been unique to see veterans connect to the Mustang, who now it becomes their mission, right? We go back to this talking. We circle back to the mission talk. This Mustang becomes like their mission. So now every time they go, they want to be there all the time because they want to help this Mustang. They want to connect with this Mustang, and the
That's
Mustang.
also probably struggling in this world that they've been thrown into. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So it's been really cool to see how some veterans have like really connected to that new mission of working with a Mustang versus any other horse. And it's really turned them around in a special way, and they've become like super passionate about it. Now they only want to work with Mustangs, and it's really cool though, because like I said, I never really experienced that. And now some of these partners have brought in Mustangs, and to see how they're interacting with some of the veterans in their programs has been cool, and how they've become like this really super mission focused on this Mustang, and they want to, and every part of the journey is like a huge accomplishment that they celebrate. Like whether it's like getting to touch the Mustang, like it's like
Right? It didn't
it's
look away
cool.
from me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool to see. So I think there's a lot of like you obviously know more than I do, but it's a lot. There's a lot in that opportunity there, right? Prisons have been doing it with Mustangs, right? That's back to what 30 years.
Mhm.
Bring Mustangs to
Yeah.
prisons, and the prisoners work with Mustangs and get them ready to be used in different services. So like
Yeah.
you can apply that on a larger scale in the veteran community. I mean, I think there's only good things can come from that.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of potential if we can keep getting more and more people to see it and work towards it cuz yeah, it's pretty incredible to see. Tell us a little bit more if you have anything from the tour you went on when you went to see the organizations that you provided funds for. I do think that's something so important. Like if you're giving funds to an organization, be involved with them, like know what they're doing, and hold them a little bit accountable because people are trying to do good things. It can get overwhelming quickly. I know I've heard of organizations who just get in over their head. So I love the accountability piece and then also the support piece to help them keep from getting in over their head. But yeah, tell us about a little bit about what you saw when you went to visit some of your partners.
So we started in Nevada and kind of worked our way down through Oklahoma, and went to Colorado, Oklahoma, Texas, and across. But yeah, I mean, it was cool to see the different scales of the organizations, the different people as who they are as human beings, and their story and how they got involved in running these programs, creating these programs, and why they continue to volunteer and put themselves through sometimes some trying times and keeping them going. And
A lot of stress.
yeah, and seeing some organizations are on 2 acres with a couple of horses, and some were on 150 acres with 40 horses. So seeing all the differences there was special. Um, yeah, but I'm kind of call myself like an old soul. Like I like the in person, like shake the hand kind of thing when I deal with people. All this technology stuff is awesome, and I use the hell out of it because it's how we operate in the world. But I'm more of like, if I could do this full time, all I would do is like live on the road and just travel to all the different partners, like just from one partner to another partner, and just like hand deliver checks to the hay guy, to the
Yeah.
farrier, to the veterinarian, and just do that, and show them that we're here and we're real, and that we're available, and we want to, and we're supporting we believe in what they're doing, because you mentioned earlier how a lot of times this doesn't get recognition. I think that goes for those people who are putting in their sweat equity and their money into these programs on their farms, where the community doesn't really understand it maybe, or isn't in a place to help them, and they're really on their own doing it. And they have veterans that participate, and they see that, and hopefully they gain from that appreciation, and they see the impact they're having, and that's what they continue to drive them. But I think it's important that other people recognize it too, right? So I'm
Yeah.
nobody. I'm just, I'm Dave with like a little tiny organization. I just do my thing. But I, I feel like I want to be that person that says like, hey, what you're doing here is outstanding. We're going to be there for you. I love what you're doing. The horses, the people, the things. I want to kind of be their cheerleader. And part of our mission, actually, as an organization, is to promote other organizations. So, we will share their stories on social media. I shot film at every organization I stopped at, and I created a YouTube series that lets
Cool.
them tell their story and kind of have a direct ask to other people that support us. Like, so, somebody needed a new truck. And so I wanted them to, back to the story about how people are always fighting for money and for things,
Hmm.
resources, and nonprofits. I wanted them to just directly ask the people that follow us and that support us, that maybe live in their area of the country, like ask them directly for what you need. I'll help you however I can, but like if maybe somebody has a truck or a trailer or this or that or
Yeah.
whatever. So I'll continue to do that as we visit these organizations, year after year, to let them have the opportunity to share their story, who they are, ask for what they need from the community and the state and the area they live in, and allow me to promote them and what they're doing and be a part of their mission by helping them connect with the greater veteran community and maybe the industries, the businesses, and people that don't know they exist. Maybe by some chance somebody will connect through me to them, and then that's a win for everybody, right? So, um, yeah, so it's exciting. It's cool to go out and see them. It's great to meet the people. A lot of salt of the earth people that are just really trying to do a good thing, and a lot of them learned like just did it from scratch and just figured it out as they went.
Yeah.
Just trial and tribulation for years till they finally got to the place that they're at. And it's cool to see a lot of organizations that have a lot of local support. A lot of businesses and other veteran organizations that are rallying around them because they've found the value in what they're doing, and they want to be there to make sure that they are around for a really long time. So it's cool to see that that's happening in different parts of the country. And there's ones that are just starting, and they're just struggling, and they're trying to do the right thing, and and we're there for them too, and we're going to make sure hopefully we'll do what we can so that they're around and they become one of those established organizations in their community for years to come. So it's cool to see all the whole spectrum, the whole range of size, the whole range of approaches, the different locations and the farms and mountains and fields and rivers, and they're all over the place, and to see how they're making it work in their own unique way, it's inspiring, and hopefully those stories and sharing those stories will inspire other people to do what they're doing in their part of the country.
Yeah. I love that. And that is really cool to hear that, you don't necessarily have to have a huge family ranch you've inherited. Like, yeah, buy a couple acres,
Yeah,
get a couple of Mustangs.
yeah. So
If
people
you
are
know,
good.
like at least a little bit what you're doing with horses. But yeah, just the possibilities there are for just so many ways people can be involved, from financially contributing to volunteering at one of these organizations to potentially starting something for your community. That's neat to see.
Definitely, yeah. And they have the volunteers they have are pretty amazing too. Just the people, the amount of time they put in to help is pretty cool. And I have to say to your point about knowing a little bit about what they do with the horses, they all have some experience. They all like were riders. They grew up on farms. I was like a retired veterinarian. Um, and if they aren't like 100% confident, I think when they first started, they've definitely surrounded themselves with people who are like,
Yeah.
I've been riding horses for 30 years. I grew up in a farm. Like, so they got this community that they built around them,
Yeah.
has kind of brought them, as helping them get up to speed if they're not there already.
Yeah.
And it provides the environment that you need to, one, keep the horses safe, right? And then to keep the people safe and to allow them to connect like in a real setting that they need to be in to be, for it to be successful. So they've done it the right way, and they just have all done it in different ways. And it's
Yeah.
really cool to see the ingenuity and the time and effort that they've put into making these programs successful.
Yeah. And I mean, it's definitely something anyone can learn or do if that's, what you feel, where you feel like you should contribute. To wrap up, talk a little bit about, let's first talk about horses for mental health. which is a campaign that we're both participating in through Samson's Sustainable Veterans Project. Maybe give a little plug for that, then talk about a little bit about your fundraiser, how people can support your organization.
Sure. So, I mean, the Horses for Mental Health, it's something I learned about just last year, and talking to Kathy down there at SSSVP, like she asked you, to help them bring awareness to that program. You know, I know they were part of it last year, and they had a lot of success, and become a big fundraiser for their efforts down there, and they're doing incredible things. Talk about doing an operation on scale. They're unbelievable what they're building down there. Um, so yeah, I'm excited to be, help them share their story. As I mentioned, part of our mission as an organization is to promote our partners. They are a partner of ours. They were one of our earliest ones, and we've been there to help them with hay and feed and medicine and things for their horses. They were one of the stops I made when I was traveling last year, so I got to see firsthand and meet them, shake their hands, and see all the great things they're doing down there. So yeah, I'm excited to to be there as part of this effort, and to help bring awareness to horses for mental health, and their mission specifically, and just generally speaking, to bring awareness to the overall mission of how horses have a positive impact on people, and hopefully help others look into that and discover it on their own in their own way.
Tell us about the music that you've been doing.
Started like summer of last year. So I always kind of jotted stuff down, and I'm not like a musical person. I don't play instruments. I'm not a singer, and nobody wants to hear me sing. But and it's controversial, I guess, to a certain extent with the AI music world. So anyway, I had written like a poem, essentially a story, and I was thought one night just to like, let me see if anybody would want to sing, like make the song, make this into a song. And I found a producer in Florida, and just out of on a whim, I emailed him. I said, "Hey, would you be interested in like reading a song that I wrote and maybe like putting it to music, or whatever?" And it's Southern Lion Records in Florida, and he's like, "Yeah, send it to me. I'll take a look." And he loved it. And the song is called "Still Fighting Home," and so he produced it. So it was the first song that we created, and the whole purpose of the songs are, so first of all, the I guess consider myself a ghostwriter. So the name of the artist is Wyatt Struther, and that was in honor of a friend of mine that I served with, that died in a training accident. His name was Struther, and so, and he was into music, and he loved to play it, and it was just an awesome human being that, although he was in my life for a short amount of time, he had a huge impact, and I wanted to honor him in some way. And so Wyatt Struther was the name that I created for this effort. And part of the mission of this music for me is, one, to share some of my stories, to share stories of veterans that I've served with, that I've met along the way, that I've met throughout life, and who have had things to say that didn't have a way to say it, and to bring awareness to our mission at K9 Equine Alliance. And hopefully, somebody might hear the song, and then I put our logo on all the song covers, and hopefully maybe they'll find us and become a part of our mission in some way, or whether it be directly or indirectly. And so yeah, it's been fun. I just been, originally a lot of the songs I wrote were just like very military specific from my experience and those experiences of others. And I've kind of expanded a little bit into writing more about life in general, and life experiences and relationship experiences and things like that. And I'm having a lot of fun doing it. I actually use the technology now to produce my own songs. So I
Cool.
I create the music and the vocals, and write the lyrics to it. So um yeah, so it's on all the streaming platforms. I try to put a song out like every other week if I can, depending on how much time I have to write. But it's been fun. It's been a little nerve-wracking because you're sharing this with other people, and
Yeah.
I don't know how, you don't know how anybody's going to react to it. My wife Katie's been super supportive of it, and my family's been supportive of it, and they tell me they like it. They're either really good liars or they like it, but either way, I take it. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's fun doing it. I'll continue to do it until, I guess, maybe people stop listening to it altogether. But I'm hoping one day, my ultimate goal, my dream, I guess, would be that if someone like a big artist that we all know and love, comes across one day and says, "Hey, I love the lyrics. Let me do my rendition of that, and
Yeah. That'd be
help
neat.
share our story of our mission and what we've talked about today." So
Yeah.
yeah, so that says just Wyatt Struther, and it's on all your favorite streaming platforms, and there's a new song coming out this week. But like I said, it's something fun and I like to do, and if any veterans have stories they want to tell and they want to reach out to me, help try to tell their story for them.
Oh, yeah. That'd be
I
cool.
wouldn't mind doing that. Yeah. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. Music has been something that's really, I think it's like a therapeutic thing for me. I love to listen to it. I find stories you can connect to. I'm just not very good at doing it myself. So to have now an avenue to make music in this new way and to share these stories and share stories of others has been pretty cool. And I'm excited to see kind of where it might go one day.
Yeah. That's neat. And I think that's true. It can be really nerve-wracking to put something out that you kind of wrote from, some deeper emotional
Yeah,
feelings, but a lot of times like you do that and you realize like other people have also felt this. So I'm sure that is going to connect with a lot of people who have been in similar situations
I
as
had a couple
yours.
people
So
email me to that point saying that like they shared it at a veterans group meeting or they uh, a professor shared it in the class about veterans, like to kind of break it down and talk about different aspects of it and how it really, I don't know. So it's been cool to have some people reach out
yeah,
and talk about how they've used it and interpreted it and how it's kind of affected them. So to your point, yeah, it's neat and to see how people have connected to it. And when I thought people would, first of all, I wouldn't listen to it unless I send it to them directly and they know me, but it's
yeah,
been kind of growing on its own organically. And like I said, hopefully one day it catches on to get some notoriety and some attention to this mission and the mission that we're all here supporting. So
yeah. And maybe another plug for just alternative therapies, like writing something I've also found very powerful in times that are dark and hard. Definitely something that can be a really powerful outlet for people who, yeah, maybe traditional talk therapy and medications aren't working for you.
definitely.
It's good to know like there's a lot of other avenues that you can explore.
All right, don't give up.
And now tell us a little bit about more about how people can support you guys who are going out and giving a little bit of financial help or a lot of financial help when these
Take
organizations.
big checks and little checks. And,
Yeah.
on our website, we have it's K9Equine Alliance.org. So you can donate there. On social media, we're always running a campaign. I have my what I do the dollar mission. I got a little teased about that, but we've had a lot of success with it. Just ask everybody just to give a dollar, and to share it with your friends. We get 1 million people to give a dollar, right? It's $1 million. So
Yeah.
we're running that, and then we have a lot of stuff locally in Connecticut and the New York area. That's where I live, so that's where we're out of. But um, we have our annual gala coming up. So I started this gala when I was doing the Monument Project, and we had a lot of success with it. And the volunteers that I have had with the Monument Project, a lot of them came with me to this, and we decided to continue to do this with this new organization. So this will be our second year for our Heroes Gala. It's in on June 13th. So we're always looking for sponsors or people to purchase ads in the gala event book or to attend. Anybody wants to come, it's a great time. We, People love it. We have everyone that comes next year. They always look forward to it. We had actually, we're having it again this year. Horses are going to come from one of our partner programs
Oh,
and be there
awesome.
during the cocktail hour. So you get to go out and meet and interact with the horses during
Nice.
the cocktail hour. And I always tell everybody it's like worth the price of admission right there. What other party can you get dressed up for? Have great food and drinks and get to go hang out with horses, right? So
Yeah.
um, so we'll have that again this year. So yeah, we're just looking, if you can't make it, if you can donate towards it, if you can sponsor it, if you can share it with people that that live in Connecticut or New York or the New England area that might want to participate or support it. It's always appreciated. Or just getting on our website and making a donation, or just to my point earlier, sharing on our homepage as our partners, so they're all over the country. So check out our partner page. If you find, maybe you'll find somebody who's in your area that you can support directly if you want, or you can participate in the program, or maybe a veteran who might be, might find value in participating in those programs. So, search out our website and check out our partners and see who's in your area and how you might be able to help if you don't want to help us directly. I don't care overall. The mission is to help the horses and the dogs, and if you want to do it in a different way, um, then that's fine too. But we want to just make sure that these programs continue to exist and grow, and we connect as many veterans with them as possible.
Awesome. Anything else you would like the audience to know before we close out?
I don't think so. I appreciate you taking your time to have me on here. I know I said at the beginning of the interview that I told her that
I
we
know.
weren't going to make an hour. and we made an hour. I guess I couldn't show up today, so it's
Yeah, no, it gets pretty easy. Most people are like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, if you can just talk about what you love doing that has brought you here, like it's usually pretty easy. But yeah, thank you so much for being here and for the work you do. I think your mission is so needed. A lot of times we do forget about the animals that are behind the programs. When we hear these stories of incredible things, certainly they take care and attention and a lot of money. And I also love your approach to bringing everybody together. I think that is so beneficial, that if we can realize, like, if we can all join together in this mission and this thing that we have seen work, which is why we're here talking about it, doing it, it just makes us that much more power to help others see that there's this resource out for them. So thank you so much for the work you do and for being here today and talking about it and sharing your experiences and the stories that you've heard.
awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us and learning about horses that heal and the humans who help them. We hope you'll continue with us on this journey. We'd love for you to subscribe on your favorite platform and follow The Touch of a Mustang on any of the major social media outlets. Please share with your friends, anyone who loves horses, or anyone who might be struggling and could benefit from this message. If you have felt the healing power of horses or help them in their divinely appointed mission, please reach out. We want to hear your story. As we say goodbye, always remember that the horse is always there to help you heal.